Welcome to Seattle Maritime Works. Hi, I'm Ken Saunderson with the Seattle Propeller Club, and today I'm joined by Kenny Lyles, who's the Director of Maritime Operations and Security for the Port of Seattle. Thanks for joining us today, Kenny.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to join you.
Kenny, my friend, let's start off by having you tell me about what your role is at the Port of Seattle. What all do you do?
Okay, again, my title is Director of Maritime Operations and Security. What that means is that I'm responsible for the marinas and the commercial harbors in the maritime portfolio. That includes as far north as Shilshole Bay Marina. Moving further south, we have the home port of the North Pacific Fishing Fleet, which is Fisherman's Terminal, Maritime Industrial Center, which is in the same Salmon Bay Ship Canal. Also, we have a recreational marina in the middle, and that's the Salmon Bay Recreational Marina. Going further south, we have the home port of the North Pacific Trawl Fleet, and that's Terminal 91, just south of the Magnolia Bridge. And then further south, we have the iconic downtown recreational marina, Bell Harbor Marina. And the last asset that we have that under my portfolio, well, actually we have two, but as far as what is in operations today, is the Harbor Island Marina just south of the West Seattle Bridge. Now, I'm also responsible for our security guard services that we provide throughout the maritime cluster.
It's an amazing diversity of operations that you manage. You know, one of the things that is really cool is that even though you manage a lot of different things, you really are committed to the maritime industry and its future. Talk a little bit about that commitment that the Port of Seattle has made to maritime.
Well, I'm a native of Seattle, and Seattle is a maritime community. It started out that way. I always tell people that the Northwest was founded on three industries. You had logging, you had a passageway to Alaska for the gold rush, and you had fishing. Well, fishing and the passageway to the Alaska for the gold rush is not the gold rush anymore, but we still have this connectivity, if you will, this codependency between Alaska and the state of Washington for both fishing and for provisioning. So we have this relationship. However, here in the Northwest, here in Seattle proper, we are a harbor city. And so we have this eclectic maritime cluster down here, from container ships to cruise ships to fishing vessels to recreational vessels. We have ships of state that come and use our facilities, and of course our recreational vessels. So that's the foundation of the maritime, what maritime means to our region here, our Elliott Bay doorstep. Can't forget our relationship with our native brothers and sisters that perform their fishing in Elliott Bay and in the Ship Canal and the surrounding waters.
Can you talk a little about how you got involved with the port in your career and the pathway you've taken to your current position?
Okay, well, believe it or not, I'm coming up on my 40th year at the Port of Seattle. Again, I mentioned that I was born and raised here in Seattle. And as a kid, I used to play up and down the waterfront. And I didn't know much about the port, but I knew those big orange cranes were out there. And I did. My parents took us up to Victoria on the Princess Marguerite, a steamship that used to depart from Pier 66 up to Victoria, Canada. I've been intrigued with the waterfront ever since then as a child. However, when I graduated from the University of Washington, I met a manager at the Port of Seattle who encouraged me to apply to come to work for the port. I started out as a human resources representative, and from there I went out to the airport. I worked at the airport for approximately 13 years, where I was recruited to come down and be the special assistant to the executive director. I worked in that capacity for a couple of years, And then I was recruited to come down and help in a new administration in marine maintenance. And that pretty much launched my maritime career. I've been in the maritime sector for 25 plus years now. I managed Fisherman's Terminal proper for 15 consecutive years before I took on my current capacity.
Well, congratulations on all your success there, Kenny. You know, throughout your career at the port, you've been an amazing champion for diversity and inclusion. Why is that important to you?
Well, it's important to me because what I found when I came into the maritime sector was an underrepresentation of BIPOC. And BIPOC is a reference to Black, Indigenous, people of color. And we've always resided in these parts, but we were never, well, we were represented, but not as far as a representative number of participants in this sector. And I sought out to diversify the maritime sector from a Port of Seattle perspective. We've had success in recruiting and retaining BIPOC people of color, as well as women. As a matter of fact, right now I have women managing my three primary businesses: Terminal 91, Fisherman's Terminal, and Shilshole Bay Marina. So I am committed to diversity and all that it has to offer. And I think it's a great opportunity for our sector to recruit and promote and encourage the next generation of mariners from all sectors of life to participate in this dynamic industry.
You know, what advice would you give, Kenny, to someone who's considering a career in the maritime industry or at the Port of Seattle?
There are misconceptions about what it means to work in the maritime sector. Some think that if the jobs that are available are on container ships where you're going to be out at sea for over a month. Some think that you have to go out and work on the high seas as a commercial fisher, but that is not necessarily true. You have an eclectic mix of careers that are offered in this maritime sector, from technical to blue collar. And from working on the docks as a longshore worker, or working in operations, for me as an example, in the many facilities that I manage, or there are like maritime designers and engineers, as well as technical specialists in this maritime sector. So everything, you don't have to be on the water to participate in these dynamic careers. And I just encourage you to explore all of what it takes to work in this industry.
Maritime really is an exciting opportunity, I think, for people to take a look at and see the diversity of careers that and career pathways that they can choose. I love after 40 years, Kenny, you're still passionate about your job. You're passionate about the maritime industry. Share a little bit about why you're excited about the future of the maritime industry.
Well, it's really untapped, if you will. We have agencies such as Maritime Blue, and Maritime Blue is the primary sponsor of our Maritime Innovation Center, which is going to be constructed at Fisherman's Terminal. And what the Maritime Innovation Center is going to provide is a venue for those entrepreneurs, for those with an imagination of what this sector can do, from edible products to technical platforms on social media, on managing vessels, you name it. We see this happening over in Europe, where we're catching up. And in doing so, we're providing a platform for these burgeoning industries and these individuals who have foresight and energy and passion to grow this industry in many different ways. So I'm excited for what this industry has to offer, how it's transitioning from the traditional maritime services to a much more advanced type of maritime sector. Offshore wind is an example of that.
Yeah, the future is indeed bright. Kenny, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
And thank you very much, Ken, for for having me. And we share a great name, Ken and Ken.
And go dogs.
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you.